I'm going to make a baby hat, and I'm going to use a new method for closing the hat. So I'm using the Addy 46 pin. You can use the Centro 48 pin. For this, I'm using a new color I found at Michael's the other day. It's Lion brand. It's the Mandela, and it looks really pretty. So I'm going to use this, and this particular one is 5.3 ounces, 150 grams, and this weight is a number 3. So it's not the normal 4, this is a 3. So I'm interested to see how this works on the knitting machine. I'm going to be knitting a contrasting brim color. I'm going to use gray. I'm going to use this color as contrasting scrap yarn color, so you can see how I close the hat. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm not going to do normal scrap yarn casting on. I am going to do that, but I'm going to do it a different way. So I'm going to pull the yarn out of the middle of this. This is the hardest part of starting these new, I don't want to mess it up, so I'm just going to take this off. Here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put the scrap yarn and my working yarn together. I'm going to find my first black pin, and I'm going to set my counter to 0. So we're going to cast on as normal with both colors. Okay, and then from here I'm just going to cut my scrap yarn just like normal. I'm going to drop it in the middle just like that, and then I'm going to put the yarn in my yarn feeder and close the door. And then I'm carefully going to turn this and make sure I don't have any drop stitches. This seems to be working fairly well with the light number 3 weight. Just want to make sure I don't have any drop stitches. And again, I'm going to knit 22 rows. So now I'm going to change color to the brim color. Drop this in the middle. I'm going to take my brim color, drop that in, and slowly crank around. I like to stop and tie my joined colors. Three. So now I have my brim color on, and I'm going to knit until I get to 70 rounds. So I have my 70 rows. I'm going to open the yarn feeder, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I have enough length, because what I'm going to do is cast off, and this is how I'm going to cast off. So I'm going to cut my yarn. I'm going to turn this toward me. Grab my darning needle. So normally, casting off, I would still put this on my needle, and you would cast off all the way around the usual way. This way, what I'm going to do, I'm going to cast off, and how I'm going to do that is where I put the scrap yarn on here. You can see this loop in the middle. That's not the first loop, that's the last loop. So I'm going to put a stitch marker so I don't forget at the end. The first bar here, that's the first loop that I'm going to attach. And point out, the last stitch to the right is the last stitch. So I need to go to the left and I need to pick up, and I'm picking them up at the same time. Pulling toward me, not straight up, because I don't want to take the chance of pulling it up off the machine. Grabbing the next bar, and this moving on to the next loop. And I'm just going to cast off, going to the next bar. And then again, grabbing the next loop, and I'm just going to work my way around the machine, taking my time so I don't miss any loops. I'm making my way around to the last couple of loops here. So there's the third one. I'm going to grab the next loop, and then you're going to see I have one loop remaining, and this will be where I put that stitch marker at the very beginning. I'm going to take that off carefully, loop it, and then pick up the last loop to remove my hat from the machine. Now I've taken my hat off the machine. I'm just gonna stretch it out a little bit here. Going to remove that scrap yarn. Now, when you cast on this way, what you need to do is you need to tighten up that first row. So I just carefully pull, you can clearly see it. I just pull the excess until I work my way around both the pink and the gray until I cinch it up, just to make it nice and neat. And I feel like this makes the hat look a lot more cleaner, and I like the finish of it. So just take your time, work your way around, and then when you pull to cinch it, be careful you don't pull too tightly. I normally would have flipped the hat inside out, or the inside on the outside, but because I had the pink on this side, I just wanted to make sure that I got all of the gray inside so it wasn't poking out. So I just carefully tightened it up. I just trimmed the edges there, and then I just tied a simple knot. Again, making sure you don't break your yarn. I was just really careful with this yarn that I used because it's a size 3, not a 4, so it's a thinner yarn. It's super soft. It's so cute. So here I am flipping the hat inside out, grabbing my darning needle, and I'm going to bring the yarn to the inside, and then I'm just going to hide the yarn in between the layers. Now, if you wanted to add a pom-pom, now this is a newborn hat, so I typically wouldn't add a pom-pom, but if you wanted to, then this is when you would add your pom-pom. So again, just knotting it, careful not to break the yarn, and then I'm just going to loop the ends into the hat so it disappears seamlessly. Super cute. Now again, this was done in the 46 pin. I kind of overstretched it out, and measuring, this should measure about 6 inches in width and 6 inches in height. Because I kind of overstretched it, it was just about 7 inches. So this will fit a average size newborn, and it's just so cute. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. See you on the next one.